I live in a small village in Ethiopia, where everyone knows each other's names and stories. There's one man, though, who's always been a bit of a mystery. His name is Tesfaye, and he's a 50-year-old deaf man who lives on the outskirts of our village. Tesfaye is a kind soul, but his deafness has made him a bit of a loner. People often whisper about him, saying he's cursed or that he's not right in the head. But I've always believed there's more to Tesfaye than meets the eye. Last night, I was walking home from a friend's house when I heard a loud scream. It was Tesfaye. I rushed to his hut, thinking someone was attacking him or that he was in trouble. But when I got there, I saw something that will haunt me for the rest of my life. Tesfaye was on his knees, his eyes rolled back in his head, and his mouth open in a silent scream. But it wasn't silent. I could hear his voice, loud and clear, speaking in a language I didn't understand. It was like nothing I've ever heard before. As I watched, a bright light filled the room, and I felt a strange energy wash over me. Suddenly, Tesfaye's eyes snapped back into focus, and he looked up at me with a mixture of fear and awe. "What's happening?" I asked him, but he just shook his head. And then, in a voice that was both familiar and yet completely alien, he spoke. "God has spoken to me," he said, his voice trembling. "He has blessed me." I was stunned. Tesfaye is deaf, but he was hearing God's voice. It didn't make sense. But as I looked into his eyes, I saw something there that I'd never seen before. It was a deep sense of peace, of understanding. He knew something that I didn't. Over the next few hours, Tesfaye told me what God had said to him. It was a message of hope and redemption, of forgiveness and love. It was a message that spoke directly to my heart. As I listened, I felt my own fears and doubts melting away. I realized that I'd been living my life in fear, fear of what others thought of me, fear of failure, fear of death. But Tesfaye's words freed me from that fear. This morning, I woke up feeling changed. I felt a sense of purpose, of direction. I knew that I had to share Tesfaye's message with the world. As I looked at Tesfaye, I saw a man who had been transformed. He was no longer the same person I'd known for years. He was stronger, wiser, and more at peace. And I realized that God's blessing wasn't just for Tesfaye. It was for all of us. We just have to listen. Tesfaye's message was simple yet powerful. He said that God told him that we are all blessed, that we are all loved. He said that we don't have to be afraid, that we don't have to live in fear. He said that we just have to listen, to hear God's voice in our hearts. And when we do, we'll find peace, forgiveness, and love. It's a message that I carry with me for the rest of my life.